Hi, everyone, it's Hallie. We'll get started in just a moment. Thanks for being here. Okay, everyone, thank you for being here today. We greatly appreciate it. So, just by way of quick admin, you should be able to see my screen with a slide on it that I'll rotate through, obviously, and hear me okay. I'm not doing video today. There's a lot going on with the hurricane should not hit us in Atlanta quite as hard, but for anyone who is in the line there, please be safe. But my son is home from school, etc. So we're going to be talking today about I want a new job, now what? And honestly, as you can imagine, we could probably spend hours and hours on this topic because there is a lot to consider when you're either wanting to make a career transition or even if you're just looking for a new position that's similar to what you've done before. There's a lot of steps to take and important pieces to consider. So we're going to go over some of the basics today in our next half hour. And as a reminder too, you will receive a copy of the recording. So look out for that in your email. So for those of you who are listening in and don't know me, I'm a certified career coach, speaker, and author. I've been coaching and training since 2002. I've got an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and a master's degree from the U of I. And what I would suggest as we progress today is because we're going to give you lots of different tools and advice and information, please pick and choose what makes the most sense for you based on your situation, where you are at now with your job search, whether you're just starting out, you're thinking about, job searching, but are still employed. Pick whatever makes the most sense related to your unique situation. And then you can take a look at the recording for additional thoughts and ideas as we go. All right. So why is this such a big topic and important? There's a reason why we have been coaching for as long as we have, because job searching and career transition can be challenging for people. There's a lot of steps to take. There is new technology that comes out all the time that's helpful. Some people will tell us that they don't have enough time to deal with this when they're working full time, etc. Or they'll say, I'm not totally sure how to use my time wisely. And in some cases, people are not sure when it's time to make a move and what is a good time to do that. Then you overlay the economy and the job market and other challenges that arise for people. And just with an election year, we find too that the job market is a little bit wonky and up and down. And understandably, people get a little bit nervous. So usually when leading up to the election, things are a little bit tougher. They do tend to settle down afterwards, which is good news because we're getting there closer to the end of this year. But there are other challenges that people will share with us too that are listed on this slide, like not sure how to, handle their search properly. Is this an okay time to try to leave, or should they stay put for a while longer? And finally, what is the right job for me? Like, how do I know the direction I want to take? So what we're going to be talking about today is defining your direction and giving you some basic pointers on that. We'll talk about branding, elevator pitch, resume, LinkedIn, just a little bit. Research, doing some networking, informational meetings, or interviews with people. And then how important it is to have a plan for yourself when you're wanting to get a new job so that you stay on track, but you also feel like you're in control as much as possible of your job search, because this can feel like you're very out of control, not knowing when you're going to get something. And also so that you feel like you've got some wins and can track your progress to keep you motivated. So let's talk first about step number one. And this is, you need to know the jobs that you're applying to and the direction you want to head in order to be successful when you're thinking about a new job. So whether it's, I want to do the same thing that I've been doing, exactly, or it could be, I want to do or stay in the same role, but work in a different organization, or it could be changes on all of those levels. So we want you to get as focused as possible, because in an ideal world, you've either got one target direction, maybe three, four at the most, but we want those to be at least similar or related, not have one be like librarian and another one be like a chef or something completely different, right? So think about first, as you think about or consider a new job, how targeted are your ideas, and try to get them as narrow and targeted as you possibly can. As I said a second ago, it's okay to have a few different options, especially if you're like, I need to get a new job and I need to get it quickly. It's okay to expand your scope a little bit more. Just make sure that there are at least, a few different options, not 10 different options. As part of defining your direction, it's a really good idea as a first step. So homework or action item is to make a list of what works or what worked at your previous job and what didn't work for you, so that you're starting to develop a list of likes and dislikes. What is it that you want to have next? This can help you define your direction. And with the dislikes, you want to ask yourself, what do I want to have instead? So these things I haven't enjoyed quite as much or didn't like about my work environment or whatever, what do I want to have instead? And be really clear about those things. Don't just take the opposite of them. And what's helpful as part of this exercise is to identify the themes between what you are determining or what the answers are for yourself, because that can let you know whether you need to make a big shift or change, or if it's more of a course correction for you in terms of career shift or large transition. And what we mean by this is, if you use our career model on this next slide, if a lot of the dislikes, for example, have to do with the work environment that you were in, that may mean that you can do the same thing you were doing before, but just in a better work environment for you. But if a lot of these pieces, more of them than just that, are out of whack, like I wasn't using my strengths, I wasn't fulfilled, that's going to give you a clue that you may need to make a larger shift. So identifying the themes in your likes and dislikes using these categories of our career model can really help you understand what type of change you need to make, what direction you want to head, give you some additional ideas, and what elements of your career path need to be adjusted so that you get into a better fit. Whether it's compensation, it's your strengths, whether it's I want to be more fulfilled, or gosh, personality-wise, my previous job forced me to be an extrovert and I'm really introverted. Those are all the types of things that you want to be considering. Now, when you're brainstorming career ideas, use our career model to help you with that. You can use each of those pieces to say, okay, what are some things that are fulfilling to me? What are some of my strengths, etc. But some other ways that you can brainstorm ideas too is to journal for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long. And answer the question, how do you define success? What does success mean to me professionally at this point in my career and my life, etc.? The next thing you could do is to journal about an ideal day at work. What would that look like for you? Because that can give you clues to what you might want to be doing, the tasks that you want to be performing, what type of schedule, etc. A lot of our clients, especially those who are more visual learners, they like to create a vision board at this point. If you're more of a writer, that's okay too. You can write it out. The third thing you can do to help you brainstorm ideas is identify what your top 3 to 5 career values are, using what we call a personal peak experience exercise, where you're thinking about a moment in time or a period of time in your life when you felt really lit up. Things were rocking and rolling, you were on top of the world. And what was that experience about? A little bit less about the details, but what you want to ask yourself with this peak experience is say, what was cool about that for me? Was it the relationships that I was in or the people that helped me get there? Or was it more about a specific thing that I had achieved or that I was challenged, etc.? Those answers can give you clues to what some of your values are, which can then give you thoughts about, okay, what would be the right work environment for me? What would be fulfilling, etc. So your values can be present in any of these elements of the model, but we really do want you to use these exercises, like we said, because that's going to drill down to the heart of the matter and what's really important to you. Another way that you can brainstorm ideas is on this next slide. You can use online tools and leverage AI to brainstorm ideas for you based on what you've done before. You might discover or think about industry adjacent roles. So if you don't want to be in the same industry, are there ones that are related or kind of adjacent to where you were before that might be appealing to you? You could look at vendors to your industry, people who served the industry that you've been in for a while. It could be consulting within or to your industry. So these are listed on this slide here are some things that you could put into AI or even Google to help you kind of think outside the box about your career direction and what might be the next best fit for you. Assessments can be a really helpful tool for this career direction piece as well, but they also can help you update your resume and LinkedIn. We like the StrengthsFinder assessment, but there's lots of different really good options out there. We recommend at least one assessment to help you narrow down your ideas, but also articulate your strengths effectively. So we do like a StrengthsFinder assessment, like one-time session with new or with existing clients. And you can take the assessment and then we'll dig into what their strengths are. And it helps our clients get clear about their direction in some cases. And then for those who really just need help with interviewing, networking, etc., it helps you articulate those strengths and be more confident. So remember that assessments are very helpful and can be great, but the way that they are limited is they're only testing you for one of the pieces of the model. Okay, so if we go back to this for a second, there are assessments like Myers-Briggs out there that test your personality type, same with DISC. There are assessments that might test you for what would be fulfilling and rewarding for you, and some that may test for your strengths. But if you notice here, they're only testing for one of these pieces. So if you have ever taken an assessment and let's say they matched you up online with some career ideas, and you're like, well, but I don't want to be a funeral director or something like that, that's not appealing to you. The reason why that's happening is it's not considering the work environment. If it's only testing for your strengths, it's not considering that that wouldn't be fulfilling for you. It's only telling you, you could be good at this. So that's where you want to take the assessments, not with a grain of salt, but as a piece of the whole puzzle. Let's talk about our second step. So want a new job, you've got to make sure that everything's in the right place in terms of your materials. It is important to understand what your brand is, not just what you're good at and your strengths are, but those unique selling points that you have and what's the big picture of what you bring to the table. What would people say about you in a good way when you left the room if someone said, hey, tell me a little bit more about so-and-so. Same with your elevator pitch. You need to have a good one so that people understand, again, what your unique selling points are and what you can do for them or people they refer you to. And same with resume, LinkedIn. These things need to be articulated on all of your materials. With your brand, when you're thinking about this, we'll talk about this first. Your brand is a combination of your strengths, but also your education and your past experience. Those things are all valid, okay? Your personality type is part of your brand as well. Are you more extroverted or introverted? Are you a really good listener? Are you a big picture thinker or a more detailed person? What about your values, your passions, or your interests? Those are valid items for your brand as well. So we want you in your brand to include those soft skills, and all of these elements here on the model are a valid part of things that you want to incorporate into your brand. You want to make sure that your resume and LinkedIn and anything else that you have online articulate your brand effectively. So make sure that both resume and LinkedIn are branded. And then as a side note, but still very important, check your online presence. Google yourself, check your social media. Just make sure that anything is out there that someone might be able to find is all cleaned up and okay with you, because employers do turn people down for jobs because of something that they found online. If you look at the statistic on this next slide, bottom left, okay, it does happen. So develop your elevator pitch also for LinkedIn networking and networking off of LinkedIn too. And when you think about your elevator pitch or speech, they're basically the same thing. You want to keep it short and sweet, about 150 words, give or take. And it should be spotlighting what you bring to the table. Like if I was to work with you, Sarah or Joe or whoever, what would that be like? What would happen as a result of working with you? Okay. And getting started with your elevator pitch, you identify who you're talking to in that moment. So your pitch may change or adjust based on what kind of networking event you're at, who you're speaking to in that moment, etc. You want to make sure that you've got some deliverables in there. So my elevator speech or pitch is, we help people get jobs that make them want to jump out of bed in the morning to go to work. And those, like that is the result that we provide to people, is the basic gist, that we're helping them find their direction and something that they would really enjoy and truly work for them. Okay. It's nice if you can choose either an opening sentence or something in there that gets their attention and that is memorable. You don't have to be a comedian with this, but it's nice if you can have something relatable and that people will remember. And it's a really good idea to practice this. You can leverage ChatGPT and AI to help you develop your elevator pitch. Remember, use those online tools as a tool. Don't rely on it and have it write it for you, because everyone else who does that same Google search for your role or industry, they're going to have the same thing that AI suggests. Okay. So here are some examples on this next slide. Remember, you'll get the recording from today, so you can write them down from there. But here are a couple of examples that we like. Help people write about their victories, products, services. This is a marketing person. Get their stories out there into the marketplace. The next one is an environmental engineer and consultant. And this is just good because I think we can all understand and imagine that environmental compliance is kind of sticky and there's a lot that goes into it. So most people would understand what this person did and it would be memorable too. So as part of step number 2, getting your house in order, revising and updating your resume and LinkedIn profile is important. You want to make sure that all of those things, including your cover letter, represent and communicate your brand. There are some tips here that we give to our clients related to formatting, making sure that you've got keywords in there, making sure that you have marketable results listed on there every single time, LinkedIn and resume, and make sure you've got a really good, strong summary at the top. And here's an example that we've got here. You'll see at the top, this person is really well branded because you know that who this person is marketing communication strategist. They've got a really nice tagline here, and they've got a strong summary statement too that articulates why the person should read more about this. We've got some really good resume and LinkedIn templates. If you're interested in those, you can just email us. They're listed on our website. We'll send you the link to purchase those. We give those to our clients as part of their coaching package. But these will help you get past the scanners because they've got the right format and layout, but also the right bones and content too for the human eye as well. As part of updating your LinkedIn profile, we want you to make sure you've got several things here: a professional photo, a really good built out about section, measurable results in each of your experience sections, that you get recommendations from people because you can use those in your experience section on your LinkedIn profile as well as your resume and in your cover letter. It's really important to make sure that you've got keywords in both and search engine optimize your resume and LinkedIn. And check your settings on LinkedIn, especially so that you let people know you're open to opportunities. Here is another place where you can leverage AI for content revisions if needed. We like for our clients to have a branded banner. We can help you with this if you need assistance with this. We create them for our clients who are working with us. Usually we charge a little bit more to create that banner. There's actually a banner option on our website if you're interested in that. Or our LinkedIn guide is very, very good because it gives you tips and tricks to get in front of hiring managers and find people that are hiring. So email us if you'd like more information about that as well. When we are talking about a branded banner, it's a tongue twister. This is what we're talking about here. It's the photo or image behind your headshot, and it's got content on there that brands and sells you, okay? If you are currently or have worked with us before and you're interested in getting help with more of what we're talking about today, beyond the coaching package you already did, we've got a great roadside assistance program. You can just use the QR code there. If you feel like one of your friends or family members needs help with what we're talking about, use the one in the middle. And those of you who have not coached with us yet, we always do a free call to learn about coaching so you can find out if we're the right fit for you. So feel free to use any of those. Step number 3 is to work on networking. So your next step after your house is in order is network your little heart out through LinkedIn, through your alumni association, through industry-specific associations, through social groups as well. This is how people still find jobs. You can ask ChatGPT or use eventbrite.com to identify networking events in your area and places to network for your industry. And this is part of what you want to ask people through networking connections too, because they could give you ideas about this as well. When you're networking, in order to do this effectively, make sure you research your market first, find out where the right people are, but also research the people that you're speaking with as well, so that you know the right questions to ask them before you hop on the phone with them, and make sure that you're prepared for that informational meeting, which we'll talk about on the next slide for a second. We think it's a good idea to join 2 or 3 LinkedIn groups for your industry because you might find people in there that you want to network with. You can ask for advice within those groups and connect with people who seem a little bit more active. And it's a great idea to connect with 2 or 3 new people every single week. That's part of networking, expanding that network. And you can identify reputable recruiters who specialize in your industry by leveraging AI to get some ideas there. Now, remember, with recruiters, the big ones work with C-suite level people, but there are usually smaller ones within your area that may work with people that are just below that level, if you will, okay? Quick reminder about informational meetings. The purpose of networking is going to be these informational meetings or interviews. They can be called either one. It's usually a one-on-one conversation with someone who works in an industry, role, or organization that you're interested in. These are the 3 areas to find people, okay? And they're really good because you can get nuggets and advice about your job search. You could get and obtain more information about networking events, recruiters they've worked with, etc. And you can also get, like, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, firsthand information about suggestions they might have for your search, okay? When you're doing these informational interviews, it's important to look for people's buzzwords on their LinkedIn profiles. So as part of updating your resume and your LinkedIn profile, if you start to see that a bunch of people in this area or industry that you're looking at have certain keywords on there, that's a clue that you may need to add them to your materials too. Review the company profile on LinkedIn before you go on an informational interview or even on an interview. That could give you clues about things that you need to put in your materials as well. And make sure that you're paying attention to the keywords that you see across the job descriptions that you're applying to, because that can give you an idea of, ooh, I need to add these things to my resume and my LinkedIn, because a lot of employers are looking for those. It's a good idea as part of LinkedIn to keep up with your network, or leveraging LinkedIn, I should say. Use LinkedIn notifications for those professional achievements or anything that you want to post just to stay in front of people. Make sure that you're checking and responding to those LinkedIn messages in a timely fashion. Time sensitive is important here. Create those new connections. Join LinkedIn groups like we already said. Write recommendations for other people too to show you give back, and make networking a part of your weekly schedule. That's part of what you need to do as part of your search. And this is where we want you to spend the majority of your time, is networking versus online job boards and postings. I'm not saying don't do that, but people get jobs through networking still these days, even with all that technology. So make sure that you're doing both. And our last step before we go today is make sure you've got a good plan. So we give clients an Excel spreadsheet that can help them organize their search. And they work with us to help them kind of build that out a little bit. First, you want to have your direction clarified, like we said earlier. Set a schedule for your search so you know what you're doing every day and every week and what your goals are. Make sure that your voicemail is updated and it sounds good. It's your voice and not the robot, and you sound professional, positive, and upbeat. Create a branded email signature. And if you're not working right now, take a class on LinkedIn Learning or something else. It's good for keeping you busy, honestly, building your confidence. It's something that you can add to your resume and to LinkedIn. And LinkedIn Learning classes or online courses overall can be good networking connection places as well with the person who's teaching and beyond that too. So we like those for a lot of different reasons. All right, so before we go today, we would love it if you would write down 2 action steps that you will take in the next week based on what you've learned today. We've got some suggested items on this slide and information about if you'd like to purchase our resume templates or LinkedIn guide. And then finally, before we go, just those QR codes again, just in case. If you'd like to use any of these, learn about our coaching services, continue coaching with us through our roadside assistance program. It is more affordable because you've already paid for all of the content and materials, et cetera, upfront, and there's more information there. And we're happy to do just one-off sessions with people, 30 minutes, an hour, as needed and as appropriate. So thank you so much for your time today, everyone. Please make sure that you connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And we hope this was helpful for you as a starting point. Have a great